Everybody. Thanks for joining the second Glass Breakout session. I'm Scott DeFife from Glass Packaging Institute. I know, let's see, we've got Lydia Gibson from Ripple is still with us, and Josh is still with us, so I think. Also, wait, I got to get back to the chat because that's where Ellen had given me some very specific messages. So when the breakout, I lost a little bit of the chat there. Garmin Smith, is Garmin in the room yet?
I am.
Oh, great. There you are. Thanks
Here
for
I
joining us. Ellen wanted me to give you a shout out there as helping organize us if there's questions for Okra. And so the way we treated the first breakout was just really a follow-up to the session that we did, where we thought there was some more opportunity for dialogue and questions. We didn't have a specific extra presentation ready, but we can certainly dive deeper into some of the topics that we covered in the original Glass session. So if anybody has some questions, you can raise your hand, turn on your mic, put them in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right, now folks joined a Glass Breakout for a reason. Certainly people have got some questions, I hope.
Okay, so I do have a comment.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Crystal Bennett with Republic Services. I know that you had said, had mentioned, about the big haulers. Just to let you know, I probably have 3 of the largest cities here in Oklahoma. And it is, I am definitely pro recycling. I'm on the Okra board. 2 of my cities are at 90-something% participation. We have really pushed it. We, about pushing them to, to make it more cost effective. We are not making any money on recycling right now. We are barely breaking even. So I don't know if that's a misconception across the board, but I know here in Oklahoma, it has been very difficult, money-wise, and we are trying to do everything to keep those programs viable and sustainable in our cities. Mm-hmm. So things like Ripple Glass are perfect for us. I know Norman came to me and said, hey, what do you think about this? I know you have recycling, and I am all for that. That's what we're going to need in cities to be able to make it viable for them. So, I think there's definitely places for everybody in this. And like I said, Ripple Glass has been, I know Brett has told me that it has been a great partnership and something that the city needs. So, if we would, I know a lot of the haulers or a lot of these people that are coming in are charging $12 a cart or whatever to go pick that up. If we did that in the whole city, the program would not be sustainable. The cities would cancel their programs, and they've already reached out and told us that. So, definitely appreciate partnering with different options.
Thanks for that, Crystal. I really appreciate that. I think that there's a great synergy, like you said, to source separate glass. It really helps increase the quality of those other materials and those other commodities. And that helps the whole system be more sustainable and resilient. So we really appreciate your work with Norman to create a really positive impact there.
Yeah, no, thanks, Crystal. In the last breakout, we got into a little bit of discussion about the macroeconomics of the system and what's depressing, the finances on recycling, and that there needs to be a rethinking of the entire economic model. The commodities, I think, originally in single stream were supposed to, or at least the theory was that they would pay for the extra services of recycling, and that largely hasn't necessarily always borne out. There are ups and downs for every commodity. I think what would help the most is if, I'll just say from my perspective, I am often called to comment when somebody has a anti-glass message in the media, and I'm usually the one that gets asked to respond. And what I've had to do a lot in the first year on job is really correct the record. When I see the quote that comes across the media is, "There's no markets for glass in area X," and that's really just not a completely accurate statement. There may not be any markets for a mixed ton of contaminated glass, but there are strong markets for quality material. And Oklahoma's got more glass plants than most states in the country, so I think we can probably do better there at doing that.
So we were having to transport ours to Midlothian, Texas to be separated and cleaned, and then transporting it back to RDOG Glass. And it was costing about $80 a ton, not making any money, but costing. And if we would have pushed that on to our 100,000 people that are participating in our program, the cities would not absorb that cost. And they were not willing to, they would have closed their programs. So something that we're looking at, we are trying to make it, and that's why I said Ripple Glass, something like that is a great alternative, because we are trying to make these programs long-term sustainable.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when cities say, and I know that I've heard it here, that it's no longer, they're meaning it's no longer viable for them to do it at curbside, I think is what what they were trying to communicate. I can't say exactly, but I think that's what they were trying to communicate, was that as a city, they could not do that anymore. And that they needed to go to something like Ripple Glass or another alternative.
Yep. No, certainly. But in the shorthand, it sounds like there's no markets for glass, which is kind of a negative on glass and really doesn't tell the full story. So what we try to do is just clarify and fill in the gaps, because when that negative message gets out there, then people like, oh, I'm giving up, and then it starts to go downhill. Or quite honestly, and I'm not saying that your company was one of these, I have been in situations where they have actively tried to get people to switch from putting glass in the recycling bin to the trash bin, and they like actively try to trash glass. And that's just the wrong message too. It doesn't really, it doesn't help the overall system, doesn't get us to a Ripple, doesn't get us to an alternative collection model. It kind of harms the overall brand of glass itself, and really is wasted in the landfill. So, but I certainly appreciate the economic problem that the cities have, right? We want to partner with the cities to do better for their glass and show them that it can actually be a positive. They can reduce their tonnage fees, if they can get it out of the waste stream and keep it from going from the landfills.
Well, I live in Ada, and we have been trying to do something about glass for a long time. There are a lot of people who want to recycle it, and we always get pushback from the city on trying to do anything. So my question is, what would it take to get Ripple Glass to come to Ada, Oklahoma?
Well, there you go.
I can answer that for you, Garmin. So we actually have been working on this newer program, and we've got a couple options, but one is this hub and spoke model that we've started recently. And really the idea of it is having a centralized bunker in one of the maybe more highly populated cities. And then of course, there's a lot of smaller towns surrounding the area. And really it doesn't even have to be a bigger city. It just has to be one centralized bunker in a location. So let's say there's 5 small towns in this decent sized, 40-mile radius area. One of those towns agreeing to have a bunker there that I discussed in the presentation, and then a few other hub and spoke models or spoke models that would have a roll-off bin, like the purple bins I was showing in the presentation as well, that would have one of their local haulers just bring that drop off to the bunker at one of the towns and then drop it off there. So everybody is working together in these small towns to get that tonnage of glass that can justify a pickup, if that makes sense. So we've actually been starting this in the state of Nebraska right now. There's a lot of small towns in the southeast area that are really interested in starting programs. So it's towns like Auburn and Atkinson and all these little guys that you probably haven't heard of because they're towns of 1,000 or 500 that all get together and start recycling in one location all around each other, if that makes sense. So one of them will have a bunker and the rest of them will have drop-offs, and they all bring the glass into the bunker and make it work. So that's how we've been approaching the rural system and how we could get down into your area.
So you would supply the roll-offs in other communities. They would be responsible for bringing that glass to Ada, for example, and putting it in a bunker that we would have. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So that's what I'm saying is that a roll-off, usually you can get through talking with your grant funders. And I don't want to speak for anybody, but I've been working very closely with the DEQ, and they are structuring programs as well to offer grant funding for a roll-off opportunity and building bunkers and everything like that. I've been talking with a lot of them recently, so they'd be able to help support this funding. But that is correct. The idea is a local hauler between your town and another city that has a bunker would just be able to bring that roll-off to the bunker to recycle the glass and drop it off there. So it would be on the city to bring the glass to the bunker, but everything else can be communicated with the DEQ. And then of course, once it's at the bunker, we'll have a hauler that can come down and get it loaded. You can get it loaded into the back there and we can take it to Kansas City. So the trip to Kansas City is nothing that you'd have to worry about. It's just getting that glass to the bunker is something that would be on the local department.
Okay. Well, we have communities now in our area that actually bring paper to our recycling center that they collect in their smaller communities. Okay. And so I see the idea. And we do have bunkers already. We built bunkers awesome. A number of years ago for glass, and then of course it never really transpired. Right. So I think I'm assuming the city still has those. We haven't talked about all this. I'm just trying to get some picture about what we can do to get things.
Well, that sounds like you guys got a great start right now. And what town did you say you lived in again?
Ada, Oklahoma. It's in Pontotoc County.
Okay.
And
yeah, absolutely. Well, I can reach out to you, I guess, later on, or if you have any contacts with the city itself, I'd be happy to reach out to them individually.
Okay. All right.
And get something started there.
Well, I will try to move this to the city level and see what we can do, because it's people drop off glass at our drop-off centers all the time, even though it goes in the dump. But
right. No, I hear you. It happens kind of everywhere. So we'd absolutely love to help out and be an option for you guys where it doesn't have to go into the landfill.
So you're doing glass in Norman again?
Yep, we're in Norman and Stillwater.
Okay. Well, Norman stopped their glass recycling for a while, I guess, because I've always taken my glass to Norman when I go that way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear at least they have it again. At least I know where to take mine for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what happened. And what I explained at the beginning of the presentation is the MRF, the material recycling facility, couldn't take it anymore. And so all of a sudden they didn't have an option. And luckily we were able to get in touch with them a few years ago and work something out. And they have a bunker that was available. And now we've got a perfect program going in Norman. I showed that picture of their bunker. So luckily we've been able to get something started and keep it going.
How many drop-off sites do you have in Norman?
I'm actually not 100% sure. I have to talk to Brett. I believe 2. And they also have a primary drop-off at the bunker itself, which is something I actually didn't mention at the presentation, is sometimes, let's say if you don't have the availability for roll-offs and you don't have it, some of the drop-off points are actually at the bunker itself. So if you go straight to the recycling facility and just take your glass to the back end and dump it into the bunker, already I know multiple communities that already do that. So that's another option that I believe Norman is doing as well. So just something else to think about.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've got the bunkers, you're a step ahead of a lot of the other places.
Yeah,
So.
I was about to say, absolutely.
I know that.
Definitely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just it's exactly as you mentioned, in your presentation, Scott, of using kind of the rural cooperative, method. Is, a single farmer who's got their grain, it's a lot harder to market that than bringing that to the silo when everybody else aggregates in that silo. So it's using those exact same things that we do in our farming communities, that just kind of wield power to make it, you wouldn't make a trip for just one bag of grain, you super sack of wheat. But when you get that aggregated in the silo, it starts to make economic sense. So it's really applying the things that we've done in our communities all across the Midwest to just a different commodity. Yep,
I think the model works. It's a great, it's a great example model to talk about in a lot of these communities. I know that Kelly had posted a couple questions. It was mostly about rural communities, which I think is largely what we've been talking about here, but I don't know, Kelly, if you had a more specific question that you wanted to make sure that we got in.
No, I'm also in Ada, so I was.
Oh, okay, same. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're on to something in Ada.
Yeah, I was about to say. And how long it would take to set up, I guess I'll answer that question too, Kelly. It's really as fast as the city can move, which I know is a very broad answer. But really what it takes is just the funding availability. So, communicating with the DEQ or seeing what your municipal side of things can offer and getting that bunker built, which that first step apparently is already taken care of according to Garmin. So that's a huge step right there. And really it is just educating the public, getting people to start recycling glass. So either having those roll-off bins, purchasing those and get those out, or having people bring it to the recycling center and throw it in there, and then boom, your program is started. So it can be as quick as possible, or it can take quite some time. But the good news is you guys already have a bunker, which is outstanding, because that's kind of the first big step everybody has to take. So, and if I'm putting a number to something, I mean within a few months,
Hey, Kelly, where are you located?
I work for the Chickasaw Nation over at the Abbott Miller building.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, then I guess you're working with other folks in the nation then.
Yeah, I work for Kara.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And Jared.
Well, we need to talk then.
Absolutely.
Here, I'll throw my email in this chat real quick. And if you guys want to shoot me an email at some point to kind of get this ball rolling, absolutely.
Looks like we've got a question coming up here from Jessica. Hello.
Yeah, so it's Josh typed that. So the question was, wish to service, what other areas does Ripple Glass wish to service or partner with? We'd love to take over the whole state of Oklahoma. We'd love to help you all.
You want to turn Oklahoma purple?
We want, right. Well, we respect each state has got their color combination. We respect. We don't in Kansas, we have a different issue with the purple color with the Wildcats and the Jayhawks, and then we've got the gold, and, so we respect all those things.
I figured I'd be okay with orange in at least half the state of Oklahoma. I don't know.
There you go. But we see a lot of opportunity. Like you said, with the end markets that are there, we want to send more glass back to Oklahoma. We want to collect more glass out of Oklahoma. So wherever we can be helpful across the state, we want to try our very best.
Yeah,
I mean, my guess right now is, I talked about the study that we're doing, and we're really trying to do some metrics about how to add up the tons to get us to the point where we can get the material back to plants, right? And so you start by looking at where's the plants, and you grow out from there. In a state like Oklahoma, where I'm sure the glass recovery rate is is pretty low. I don't want to fathom a complete guess here, but if it's at 10%, maybe. I'm not even sure, based on what Ripple's doing right now. Some very, very simple steps to get that up to 20 or even the national average would go a long way to feeding plants in the region. So a little bit can go a long the way. A little bit of work and coordination can go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just mention again, feel free to reach out at any point in time. I just sent my email and phone number. That's my direct line. So love chatting with anybody who's interested or just has even some questions. And that's kind of what I mentioned in the presentation earlier is we like to work directly with you and work with your city because I get it. Ada is different than Oklahoma City. There's different shapes and sizes for each town in Oklahoma, and we can focus our efforts to exactly what your community needs. So just keep that in mind.
The other thing to know is you're not alone at all. I mean, the state that I live in, Virginia, right now, same situation. Virtually, there's 2 plants in Virginia. Only in the most recent, few calendar months to quarters has any of the glass from Virginia made it back to a plant in Virginia. In fact, I would say Virginia's behind Oklahoma with the work that Ripple's doing and and Boulevard Brewing and returning the bottle, getting bottles from the RDOF plant there. So in Virginia, that's why they went to the drop off, was that they were having a similar issue with the MRF glass and just the closest processing either being in North Carolina or Pennsylvania. And so they were trying to figure out how to improve the quality and get that, get the quality level up so that the marketability would be there. And now it's starting to take off, and county after county is communicating with us trying to build this. So Oklahoma, no, you're not alone. It happens all across the country, and it's just a situation that we have to work on. All right, any other questions? I know we're coming up pretty close on our time. I think we might have about 5 minutes left if I have my clocks right. I think that Ellen had told me that we were looking for about 30-minute sessions here.
We've also got the time at the top right there. I think it's about 7 minutes.
Oh, there it is. Yep, I see it now. Thanks.
So where's everyone from?
Well, why don't you start? Tell us where you're from.
I am an Oklahoma City native.
Okay.
Yes.
I was born and raised in Houston. Don't hate me for going to school in Austin. And but now I live in Virginia.
I'm from Columbia, Missouri, so go Tigers, Mizzou Nation, but I went to school up at Truman State, so I don't cling too closely to Mizzou. But now I live in Kansas City.
I wonder if that's an issue with some of your work colleagues.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, Lydia was Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
And we have great discussions there. But I'm born and raised in Kansas City. Haven't moved far. I spent a couple years over in Lawrence, but I've stayed close to home.
I am part of the Choctaw Nation in Durant, Oklahoma.
Very nice.
I am more of I was born and raised in southern Kansas, and I am a Rock Chalk Jayhawk. So I'm with you, Lydia. Sorry, Josh. Go away.
Well, that's good that Josh is taking more heat than I am.
I'm actually more of a Texas fan than an OU fan. So, I'm looking forward to exactly this weekend.
I cannot believe we lost that game last weekend to TCU. It was crushing. I do see some Sooner colors here. I see a good, healthy amount of Sooner red. I don't know exactly what we call it, but.
Well, mine's not Sooner red.
No? Okay.
I'm wearing red, but it's not Sooner red.
You had me worried, Garmin.
I'm Texas over OU anytime.
Good deal.
That's probably not a good thing to say, but
Boomer Sooner.
There we go. We had to have at least somebody in the room. Some of my favorite trips were to Dallas for the Texas OU, games at the Texas State Fair. Those were great days.
So I will introduce myself. I am originally from Seminole, Oklahoma. I'm sure Garmin and Kelly probably know where that's at. And
Oh, yeah.
Reside in Oklahoma City now. I work for Cox Communications. I'm actually their market lead in Oklahoma City for Cox Conserves, which is our recycle initiative. So.
All right. Well, we knocked off a couple minutes. Jessica, I love your background there.
Thank you. I take no credit.
Lydia's
Some
got
have
the
said that it
good
made
good
the
purple
mascot in
ripple
the
background.
mountains, and honestly, I don't know. It's just beautiful.
Oh, we got another camera going here.
Hi. We have
Hi.
to kill some time. I'm from Japan. Happen to be living in Oklahoma. I taught 1 year in Missouri too. um, I'm wearing purple, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
And
Tell us about
difference-
recycling in Japan. How is glass treated there?
That's the thing that really got me. I'm just a homemaker right now, but I got really interested in this because it's meticulous. Single stream is not a mainstream. So like in my town, you have to take it to a recycling place, or there is a collection day once a month, if you prefer. But anyway, you have to separate everything meticulously and clean up. Like bottle, you are supposed to take off the bottle cap, and there's a separate bin for the caps. And then the color, of course, you have to separate the colors, take off the labels. Everything has to be clean. But here, I was kind of upset that everything goes into this single stream things. I'm right now living in Norman. I'm kind of glad I have to take the glasses to the collection bin, but that's all right. I understand the single stream machine is expensive, and once you set it up, you have to use it. But I think it's not a particularly efficient way of recycling. That said, I'm not really boasting because Japan is a terribly, terribly wasteful country. You know, they recycle meticulously, but why not? Why reducing consumption to begin with, like plastics, overwrapping? It's just terrible. It's a little better here in that respect.
No, that's really helpful input, though. It's good to know, what goes on in other places. I think our system is uniquely different than most of the other major G7 countries. All right. Well, yeah. Garmin, do we have any other goals for our breakout here?
No.
No. Okay.
I think you've done well. And I guess if nobody has any questions, we can just look at each other.
Well, I think
I'm thankful for this. Has been just really great. I've really enjoyed these smaller group conversations and get to talk to some folks a little bit more. And it's just been a great opportunity. So we're really thankful for Oprah for putting this together. Scott, you've done a great job of keeping the conversation going. We're absolutely, obviously, fans of the work that GPI does and Scott does, and cannot give you enough accolades and applause for the work that you're doing at GPI.
Well, thank you very much, Lydia. Ripple is one of our newest members and favorite social media members. So they're really super great on social, and they do great work in the area. And a lot of people ask about the Ripple model. That question is like my second or third most frequently asked question. So no, they're doing great work there. So hopefully you can take over Oklahoma and get all that good glass.
Well, let's hope so. We'll work at it.
All right. I think the time says 0, and until somebody zips us back to the room, here we go,
Right.
58 seconds. We're going to leave. It's good to have been with you, everybody, and I'll see you back in the main room.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.